Norfolk, Virginia. Now the home of the Hardcore Justice free pay-per-view. Before I get started, I want to get this over with because now I have gone through this 4 and 5 times already, and I kept botching it because it frustrated me. Hearing that Angle is not there right now and he's gone to rehab. If anybody's seen my debate of the week on Saban and Angle and TNA, I pretty much said very clearly that Angle needs to retire. After he comes out and cleans up, he needs to just retire. He may still have some gas in the tank to stay in for another 5 years, but when a person's like that, I said it already in my debate of the week, he just needs to retire because he is not going to stay clean for long. He's not a Jeff Hardy, and I'm not even saying Jeff Hardy is going to stay clean for long. It's always a day's struggle with these people who have some type of addiction. So far, Jeff Hardy's been very clean. He's been doing well. He hasn't been having a problem. He worked very hard to get back into it. But when it comes to a Kurt Angle, I am not sure that he has the strength. I could be wrong, and believe me, if I'm wrong, I am more than happy to eat crow because we do need good wrestlers that can do good in the business. But honestly, after what he's done over the years, I really believe he needs to retire after this. Please, Kurt, just retire. If it's a semi-retirement, let him stay away for a couple of years and come back for maybe one run in TNA or WWE for about a year and then just disappears permanently. I would rather keep him away permanently and then open a dojo. So that's all I wanted to say about that, and I'm moving on to the show. The show itself, last week was terrible. It was a middle-of-the-road show, was uneventful. I was not interested at all. This show felt like it was crammed in with... I've done this 5 times. 5 times because of this frustration. That TNA was trying to squeeze in 70 pounds of shit in a 2-pound bag. That was different colors and weird smells. Don't get me wrong, there was some good stuff in this show, but it just felt weird. Let's go to the ladder match. And I'm kind of combining the tables match at the same time because at least a piece of it. When you look at the ladder match with Hardy, AJ, Kaz, and Austin Aries, it kind of was interchangeable with the tables match with Stay Calm. When it came to Joe and Magnus, I felt like there could be easily interchanged between both of them. I kept mixing them up with the tables match and the ladder match because this was basically a repeat. It was a repeat match. The ending was a repeat. Most of what was done in the ring, of course, were different. It felt almost like a repeat. I have to say, between the actual 2 matches, the ladder match was a much better match than the tables match. I'm not going to deny that. I'm going to say what it is. But going into the ladder match, I did enjoy the interaction between AJ and Hardy, AJ and Austin Aries. I was very happy with that type of interaction. Now, when it comes down to it, the person who won that was Kaz. But he won by the Appletini, which kind of reflects what happened in the tables match, which I'll get to in a minute. But throwing the Appletini into Hardy's face so he could win the match actually goes with the faction. They will do anything they can to win. And that's when you see Daniels and Robert Roode come out, and that's how Kaz gets the Appletini, which I'm alright with. I was glad to see it. When it came to the interview afterward with Robert Roode, it was good. I enjoyed how he said, "Do you see what's going to happen? Do you see what happened? We are going to win. We are going to be at the top of the leaderboards. The time of the selfish generation is here." I was glad to hear that from him. But then when the tables match came in, and I'm getting into it with Robert Roode, Magnus, and Joe and Anderson, it felt exactly like the ladder match. Great match. The crowd loved both of them. The crowd in Norfolk, Virginia was jizzing on themselves for these 2 matches most of the time. But when you saw that, I don't even remember who threw the Appletini into, I believe it was, whose face it was? Was it Joe? No, I think it was Magnus who got it in the face. I'm not even sure. But when it came down to it, Robert Roode rolled him up and won. It just felt like just a repeat of what happened early in the night. Good to see it. And now Robert Roode and Kaz have 20 points each. Robert Roode is second in line to Magnus. That's good to see, but still just, I don't know. Just frustrates me. Now, moving on to the triple threat knockouts match. I botched this 4 times because this felt like a Divas match. For the simple fact that the person that shouldn't have won. The person I was interested in wasn't highlighted that much. Now, when you see before the match, when you see Gail Kim, you see ODB, and you see the gorgeous, oh my goodness, good googly moogly, that beautiful Mickie Jane, baby. Oh, I'm going to have to talk like Dusty Rose from Mickie Jane. Oh, baby, come over here, my baby, my sweet cheeks, baby. Come over here and let me get a beautiful kiss on those luscious lips. Let me have you in my arm so I can be able to stroke that hair and do something very violent with it, baby. Sorry, I had to. Mickie Jane, compared to these other women, looks so incredibly hot. Don't get me wrong, ODB and those boobs are just luscious. You love the boobs. Gail Kim is not a bad looking woman. She all around has a good, decent body, but Mickie Jane is just absolutely the best for me. But that could not save this match. Don't get me wrong, the crowd was very happy for Mickie Jane being in her own hometown. Well, it wasn't her hometown. She's from West Virginia, but I believe it was Norfolk, Virginia. I could be wrong. Please tell me below. But she is a Virginia girl. But why in the blue fuck would a Virginia girl have to lose? Look, this isn't WWE. You don't need to lose in your hometown. Mickie Jane is hot right now. Mickie Jane should be the one that's left to stay over. She should be over. She should be winning. And at one point the crowd was screaming for her, even though they knew she was a heel. Of course, she's a girl that is a hometown girl. But it makes no difference. She's still a damn hot heel that people will cheer anyway for. But the person that wins was ODB. And I still don't understand why in the fuck did ODB start stripping off her pink bra and then try to choke Gail Kim with it, which I think she might have legitimately choked her just a little bit. Because she didn't even take the right part of her bra off. She had a top, she had a bra, it's hanging out like this. Her boobs finally came down and we can see that she's not a 50 triple D, she's like a 40. Maybe 42D. But why? Was it because she renegotiated a contract? Was it that she was going to leave and then they said, look, we want you to stay, we don't have enough knockouts. Please stay so we'll make you champ. Like that. Like, look, we need you to stay, please. We just had to get somebody to go, we'll let you be champ. She said, I'm going to be champ, I'm going to get more money? Yeah, fine. Then I'm going to act the way I want. And she's stripping off a damn bra over there. That's how it kind of felt for me. You guys tell me below how you feel about that match, but I love Mickie Jane, but that didn't save the match for me. It was technically okay, but it just wasn't right. Now, when it comes to, I'm going to have to go through the other stuff first before I get to this match. I've already spoke about Kurt Angle, but when we saw Aces and Eights dealing with the Main Event Mafia after that little bit with Dixie, hearing that you're short one guy, you're going to deal with this, we're going to take you out, one of you is going. The thing that made me happy, then pissed me off, was that the person that they were going to bring in to replace Kurt Angle was an Austin Aries. Why not have an Austin Aries there? I want Austin Aries there, and there's still a possibility he will be there. But Sting, sorry, one of my cats got up. Sting went to Austin Aries and he said no. So it was a Rampage Jackson who took it upon himself with a Samoa Joe to go into the ring and call out a Tito Ortiz to ask him to join. So Tito Ortiz doesn't say he will be a part of them, but he respects a Rampage Jackson, even though they had their little match coming up in November. Now, I can say this. Rampage Jackson sounded much better than Tito Ortiz. He did. He wasn't good at all. Let's be honest. Rampage Jackson is sloppy on the mic, but at least he represented himself well enough to get his point across. Tito Ortiz just sounded choppy, and I'm glad that Bully Ray came out and cut it short. He said he's going to take them both out if they try anything. Now, the next things we're going to talk about is the last two things before the final match, and that is the Bully Ray segments. One with Anderson and one on the phone. I still say there's a good chance that Anderson will fight with Bully Ray later. He will be having a civil war. If I'm wrong, fine. I don't care. I don't know the business that well. I'm still learning. I know I don't have all the answers. But the way they've been showing it, teasing that Bully Ray and Anderson are having friction, you see that from that segment. Bully Ray's being told, "You're asking me how I failed? Pretty much who gave me the hammer?" And what did Anderson say? He said simply, "The Tooth Fairy basically told me to give it to you." That sounds like friction. So it would make sense for this at the end of the night. Now, finally, the final thing I'm going to talk about is the segment after that, I believe. And that's Bully Ray on the phone talking to, looks like, to Brooke Hogan and telling the truth. If this is finally showing the Brooke heel turn, I think it's months too late. I'm going to say this honestly. Brooke Hogan should have been allowed to talk more, and Brooke Hogan should have had this segment at least 2 or 3 months ago. Having it now just irks me for the simple fact they didn't structure it properly, and they didn't give it. It's like they tried to cram this all in before Bound for Glory. They could have done it much better months ago when they had time. Now it's like they're trying to cram everything in before Bound for Glory so things would make some sense when the Bound for Glory finally happens. And I'm actually quite pissed off about that. Like I said so many times about Brooke Hogan, it makes no difference if she's good or not on the mic. She could actually be pretty good. But the point is, if you don't let her to actually do it, you'll never know. So now we get to the Sabin Bully Ray match, which I'm going to say this. Because Taz is back on commentary, he brought down that match for me. It wasn't great with the rest of the matches with him. No. But this particular match, because Bully Ray was directly interacting with him, really, many matches, for me personally, have to have a certain spark, a certain feel. They did a good job in the ring. But if there's no spark there, due to the fact of something interfering with it, really lacks it for me. Seeing Bully Ray interact with Taz truly killed the spark for me. It was still a decent match. Wasn't the best match of the night. The ladder match was the best match of the night. But if you can see it from this perspective, because of that stupid interaction between those two, and then when the ending with Bully Ray finally winning because Tito Ortiz screws over Rampage Jackson and helps Mr. Anderson, because we already know that Anderson tries to keep Sabin out, coming out of the ring. Rampage Jackson throws him off the ramp. And then Rampage Jackson gets nailed in the back with a Baltine hammer by Tito Ortiz. And then they go into the ring, and then we get that scene. At the end, it felt like a clusterfuck. But if this is supposed to promote Tito Ortiz on one bad guy side and Rampage Jackson for another, so when they go into November, they'll actually have something to bring the TNA fans over to Bellator, it would make sense in that respect. But it doesn't mean I like it. I don't like it. We're not going to get a big benefit unless these guys come back and stay part of Aces and Eights and basically Main Event Mafia or go into OVW. I don't believe either one are going to do that. But still, I have to see it for what it is. It was effective, but doesn't mean it was what I want. So how do I rate this show? I was not fond of this show. It felt clustered. It felt like 70 pounds of shit into a 2-pound bag that had weird smells on it. Some of the smells smell, and then the rest go, what the hell? Something like that. I could give this a C+, but I'm going to give it a B-, because when it comes down to it, the new faction of Rude, Kaz, and Daniels are good to see. I like Rude, Kaz, and Daniels together. Let's just hope they get more time. But when it comes down to it, the endings for both the ladder match and the tables match were repeated, and I wasn't too fond of it. The Mickie Jane, the sweet, wonderful, sexy Mickie Jane, losing a fucking title in her hometown where she didn't need to was stupid. And the ending is just a mess when it comes to Tito Ortiz and Rampage Jackson. Like I said, it was effective, but it doesn't mean I liked it. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Subscribe and comment to my channel. Give me a thumbs up, ladies and gentlemen. And tell me how you feel about this Impact-themed Hardcore Justice. Have a good day.